Have you ever felt that icy grip of dread, the kind that squeezes your chest and steals your breath, even before you know why? That primal instinct screaming that something is terribly, irrevocably wrong? It's a feeling that bypasses logic, a whisper from your soul telling you to brace for impact. For me, it struck on a freezing December night, the kind where the rain turns to sleet and the world feels brittle. I had just left my company's year-end gala, the glitter and forced smiles still clinging to me like cheap perfume. My mind was on my 8-year-old son, Leo, probably asleep at my sister's house. But as my headlights cut through the gloom, sweeping across my own front porch, a scene unfolded that would shatter my reality into a million jagged pieces. A small, crumpled form on the top step, a stillness that screamed unnatural. And standing over him, a shadow of a man I once called family, a smirk playing on his lips that promised a darkness I couldn't yet comprehend. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about the terrifying truth that sometimes the monsters we fear most wear the faces of those we love. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you will challenge everything you thought you knew about family, loyalty, and the lengths a mother will go to protect her child. The chill of that December night still haunts my bones, a cold that seeped deeper than just the freezing rain. I remember the clatter of my heels on the wet pavement as I rushed from the car, my heart already a frantic drum against my ribs. The porch light cast a sickly yellow glow, illuminating the scene that would forever be etched into my memory. Leo, my vibrant, laughing boy, lay twisted on the top step, his small body unnaturally still. His face was a ghostly white, his lips a chilling shade of purple, and his chest barely moved, each tiny gasp a desperate plea for air. It was a sight that ripped through me, tearing away any semblance of calm I might have held. My brother, Julian, leaned against the brick wall, arms casually crossed, that familiar, infuriating smirk playing on his face. "Just roughhousing," he mumbled, shrugging as if Leo had merely tripped over his own feet. My sister Clara emerged from the shadows behind him, her expression as placid as a summer lake. "He's fine," she echoed, her voice devoid of concern. "Boys will be boys." Their words were a cruel mockery, a denial of the stark reality unfolding before my eyes. I collapsed onto the wet concrete, my dress instantly soaking through, the cold seeping into my skin but barely registering against the icy terror gripping my soul. My fingers trembled so violently I could barely grip my phone, fumbling twice before finally dialing 911. "My son isn't moving," I choked out, my voice raw with panic. "He's 8. Please, you have to hurry." The operator's calm, measured questions were a distant hum as I pressed my palm against Leo's tiny chest, trying to feel the faint flutter of his heart, counting the agonizingly slow rises and falls. Each second stretched into an eternity, a torturous wait filled with the silent screams of a mother watching her child slip away. The wail of sirens finally pierced the night, growing louder, closer, a beacon of hope in the suffocating darkness. 9 minutes felt like 90, but finally, the ambulance screeched to a halt, its flashing lights painting the scene in urgent reds and blues. 2 paramedics burst from the vehicle, their movements swift and purposeful. The lead paramedic, a man with kind but serious eyes, knelt beside Leo, his badge reading, "Officer Miller, EMTP." His partner quickly retrieved a stretcher and oxygen tank. Miller checked Leo's pupils, felt for a pulse, his brow furrowed with concern. Then, his gaze drifted to Julian, still leaning against the wall, that unsettling smirk unwavering. A strange transformation came over Miller's face. The color drained from it, replaced by a look of profound shock and recognition. He stood slowly, walked over to me, and lowered his voice, his words barely a whisper, meant only for my ears. "Ma'am," he began, his voice tight with an unspoken question. "Is that truly your brother?" I nodded, confused, my mind still reeling from the horror of Leo's condition. He looked back at Julian, then at me again, his eyes filled with a chilling certainty. Because 3 years ago, in a small town in Arizona, I responded to a call that looked exactly like this. Same collapse, same story about a fall, same smirk, and that man was standing in the exact same spot. Julian's smirk flickered for a split second, a tiny crack in his facade, before snapping back into place, harder, more defiant. Officer Miller turned to his partner, his voice now firm and authoritative. Priority 1. Possible intentional overdose. Possible child abuse. Let's move. The words hit me like a physical blow, a confirmation of the unspeakable fear that had been gnawing at me. They gently lifted Leo onto the gurney, his small frame looking impossibly fragile against the orange straps and silver rails. I climbed into the back of the ambulance without asking, my eyes never leaving my son. Miller didn't stop me. As the doors closed, I caught a glimpse through the small rear window. Julian was already on his phone, his thumbs flying across the screen. My sister and her husband stood beside him, arms around each other, watching the ambulance disappear as if it were someone else's emergency, a casual spectacle rather than a life-or-death crisis involving their own flesh and blood. The image solidified a terrifying truth. They were not just bystanders. They were complicit in this unfolding nightmare. Inside the rig, Officer Miller worked with quiet efficiency, hooking Leo to monitors, starting an IV. He kept his voice low, almost conversational, throughout the ride, but his words carried a heavy weight. I testified in that Arizona case, he said, his gaze fixed on the road ahead. 9-year-old boy, same high-dose sedative, same bruising pattern. Stepmom said he was clumsy. Charges dropped on a technicality. The family vanished the next week. I heard they moved east. Never thought I'd see that face again. The siren howled, a mournful cry cutting through the red lights of the city. Leo's hand, clutched in mine, was ice cold. Miller glanced at the heart monitor, then at me, a question in his eyes. Does your brother travel much? I couldn't answer. In that moment, a horrifying clarity washed over me. The smirk wasn't lazy. It was rehearsed. It was a mask, carefully crafted to conceal a darkness so profound it defied comprehension. My own brother, the one who once pushed me on the tire swing, who shared childhood secrets, was capable of something truly monstrous. And he had practiced. The attending physician, Dr. Evelyn Hayes, a woman in her early 40s with a quiet voice that nonetheless carried the weight of too many nights like this, stepped into the hallway just as the sky outside the windows began to turn a pale gray. She introduced herself as the head of pediatric emergency medicine at St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Your son is breathing on his own now, she said, leading me into a small consultation room, her words a fragile balm to my frayed nerves. We've pumped his stomach, started aggressive IV fluids, and pushed activated charcoal. Blood panel shows a sedative at adult overdose levels, plus a painkiller, combined with severe dehydration and multiple bruises in various stages of healing. We are required by state law to file an immediate Child Protective Services report and notify law enforcement. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak, the gravity of her words sinking in. She hesitated, her gaze softening slightly. Mason is asking for you. He's awake. The news was a jolt, a surge of hope mixed with a fresh wave of dread. What would he say? What horrors had he endured? The path ahead was unclear, but one thing was certain. My fight had just begun. My heart aches just retelling this, and I know many of you might be feeling a knot in your stomach right now. This story, as you can already tell, is about the darkest corners of human nature, but also about the unbreakable spirit of a mother. If you've ever faced a moment where your world shattered, or if you simply feel a connection to this journey, please, let me know you're here. A simple comment, a shared thought. It all helps me feel less alone in sharing these raw truths. Walking into room 412 felt like stepping onto borrowed legs, each step heavy with a mixture of relief and profound fear. My little boy, Leo, looked impossibly small in the adult-sized hospital bed, a tangle of wires running from his arms, oxygen prongs gently resting in his nose, monitors beeping a steady but too fast rhythm. When his eyes, wide and still clouded with fear, met mine, his chin trembled. "Mommy," he whispered, a sound so fragile it nearly broke me. I sat on the edge of the bed, taking his cold, tiny hand in both of mine, trying to convey all the love and protection I felt, even as my own heart was shattering. He started talking in a hoarse whisper, his voice barely audible, his eyes darting around the room as if afraid someone else might be listening. He wasn't just telling me what happened. He was trying to comfort me, to explain, to apologize for something that was never his fault. Julian said it was special orange juice for big kids, he recounted, his voice catching. He said if I didn't drink it, he would tell everyone I still wet the bed. The words were a fresh stab, a chilling insight into the manipulative cruelty my brother had wielded against an innocent child. It tasted really bad, like medicine, Leo continued, his grip tightening on my hand. Then my arms and legs got heavy, and I couldn't stand up. He dragged me to the porch and pushed me down the top step so you would see me fall when you got home. My breath hitched in my throat. The image of Julian, the man I grew up with, dragging my helpless son and staging his collapse, was a horror beyond words. But then, Leo delivered the final, most devastating blow. He said, my son whispered, his eyes filling with tears, "Then you would cry and look crazy, and Grandpa's money would be his." Every single word was a separate knife twisting in my gut, a revelation of a calculated, cold-blooded plot. "I tried to be brave, Mommy," Leo sobbed, fresh tears streaming down his pale cheeks. "I'm sorry I drank it." I pressed his hand against my cheek, desperate to hide the tears that were now freely falling from my own eyes, not wanting him to see me break. "You did everything right, baby," I choked out, my voice thick with emotion. "Everything." A kind nurse came in then, her presence a gentle interruption, to adjust Leo's IV. I kissed his forehead, a silent promise of vengeance forming in my heart, and walked back to the waiting area, my legs feeling like lead. The scene that greeted me was a grotesque parody of normalcy. Julian was scrolling on his phone, his feet propped up on a chair, utterly unconcerned. My sister Clara was reading an old magazine, as if it were a normal Tuesday afternoon, completely detached from the crisis. Her husband, David, sipped vending machine coffee, his legs crossed, calm as ever. Their composure was an insult, a stark contrast to the raw agony tearing through me. I stopped directly in front of Julian, my voice trembling with a rage that was barely contained. "What was in the orange juice?" I demanded, my eyes burning into his. He didn't even bother to look up, his gaze still fixed on his phone. "Nothing," he drawled, a dismissive wave of his hand. "Kids are dramatic." Clara closed her magazine, her voice surprisingly calm. "Eleanor, you're exhausted. Julian was just playing." David chimed in, his tone condescending. "Leo has always been sensitive. You work too much." Their words were a collective gaslighting, an attempt to twist reality and make me doubt my own sanity, to dismiss the attempted murder of my son as mere child's play. I stared at Julian, the man who once pushed me on the tire swing in our backyard, the one who taught me how to ride my bike. The memories were a bitter poison now. "He's 8 years old," I seethed, my voice rising. "And you're calling poisoning playing?" Julian finally met my eyes, that infuriating smirk still plastered on his face, a mask of contempt and arrogance. "Prove it," he challenged, his voice dripping with icy confidence. That single sentence, those 2 simple words, snapped something inside me. It was the final straw, the spark that ignited a firestorm of resolve. The fear that had paralyzed me moments before evaporated, replaced by a cold, unwavering fury. I pulled out my phone, my fingers no longer shaking, and dialed the one person I knew who could turn "prove it" into a life sentence. Marcus picked up on the first ring, his voice calm and professional. "It's me," I said, my voice shaking now, not with fear, but with pure, unadulterated rage. "I need everything you can find on Julian Thorne. Bank records, travel purchases, messages, burner phones, everything. Starting tonight." Marcus didn't ask why, didn't question my urgency. He simply said, "Send me a photo of his driver's license. I'll have the first packet in 6 hours." I hung up, the phone feeling heavy in my hand, and looked at the 3 people who shared my last name, their faces now a blur of indifference and complicity. "Get out of this hospital," I told them, my voice low and steady, each word a hammer blow. "Do not come back. Do not call. Do not text. You are done here." Julian stood, stretching casually, as if he had all the time in the world, completely unfazed by my declaration. "Good luck with that, sis," he sneered, his smirk unwavering. They walked away without looking back, a chilling display of their callous disregard. I returned to Leo's room, pulling the chair as close as the rails allowed, and held his hand until the first rays of the sun painted the sky. In that quiet vigil, a silent vow was made. I would fight for my son, for justice, and for a future where he would be safe from the monsters who wore the faces of family. The battle had truly begun, and I knew, with every fiber of my being, that I would not lose. The soft hum of the hospital room was the only sound, as Leo finally drifted into a deep, healing sleep. The last of the sedatives working their magic. My phone vibrated against the plastic armrest, a silent summons from Marcus. I slipped into the hallway, careful not to disturb my son, the ring of the phone a stark contrast to the quiet intensity of the moment. Marcus didn't bother with a greeting. His voice was all business. "Screen share me. Now." I opened the secure link he had dropped, my heart pounding with a mixture of apprehension and grim determination. The first folder was labeled simply, Thorn Master. The first document was a scanned page from our grandfather's revocable living trust, a document revised just 3 months ago, around the time his health had taken a turn for the worse. Page 9, paragraph 14b. I read it twice, then a third time, before the chilling words truly sank in, each syllable a cold, hard stone in my stomach. If at any time the primary beneficiary, Leo Thorn, is determined by 2 licensed Arizona physicians to suffer from a chronic physical or psychological condition that impairs his ability to manage property, the entire principal of $4,200,000 shall immediately vest in the next eligible male descendant in direct line, Julian Thorn, free of trust. The words hung in the air, a suffocating weight. $4,200,000. It was a sum so vast, so tempting, that it had driven my brother to attempt the unthinkable. The metadata on the scanned page showed that Julian had photographed it himself. The picture was taken inside the nursing home business office in Phoenix, a mere 92 miles west of our home in Tucson. The timing was no coincidence. It was a meticulously planned act. Security footage Marcus had pulled showed my brother walking in, wearing a university hoodie, signing the visitor log as family member quick errand, and leaving 27 minutes later. The pieces of the puzzle were beginning to fall into place, forming a horrifying picture of premeditation and greed. That same week, Julian bought a burner phone at a discount store in Mesa, paying cash. That same night, he filled the tank of his black sedan and drove south. Marcus's timeline was meticulously detailed, each entry a fresh wave of nausea. Stop 1. Flagstaff, Arizona. 420 miles, 6.5 hours. He checked into a roadside motel under the name J. Reed, paid for 3 nights cash, and left after 1. The next afternoon, a 9-year-old boy collapsed in the parking lot of a local convenience store after drinking free orange soda from a friendly stranger. The hospital found a sedative at near-toxic levels. The mother swore the kid never took medicine. The case was closed as accidental ingestion. Stop 2. Albuquerque, New Mexico. 380 miles further. Different fake ID. Same cash. An 8-year-old at a library summer reading program was offered special punch. Same collapse. Same drug. Same empty investigation. The pattern was sickeningly clear. A chilling testament to Julian's calculated cruelty. Stop 3. Denver, Colorado. Same pattern. Stop 4. Salt Lake City, Utah. Stop 5. Boise, Idaho. Every single time, Julian changed the dose by a few milligrams, changed the delivery drink, changed the location. He wasn't just experimenting, he was calibrating, practicing, perfecting the recipe that would make a healthy child collapse long enough to trigger psych evaluations without actually killing him, because a dead beneficiary still inherits, and Julian wanted the money for himself, free and clear. Marcus had compiled an overwhelming amount of evidence. Toll tag pings tracing Julian's route, gas station CCTV footage of him pumping gas alone, pharmacy surveillance of him buying adult-strength sedatives with cash, motel keycard logs showing only one person ever entered those rooms. There was no second driver, no accomplice on camera, just Julian. My sister Clara and her husband David never rode with him. 0 miles. They didn't know until he came home from the Arizona trip, bragging over a steak dinner that Phase 1 worked perfectly. They listened, Marcus's report stated, asked no questions, and when anyone later mentioned strange collapses on the news, they simply changed the subject. They never helped plan. They never helped buy drugs. They never touched the other boys, but they protected him anyway. They provided cover, a veneer of normalcy, allowing Julian to continue his monstrous experiments. Marcus's last message popped up while I was still staring at the timeline, the full weight of the betrayal crushing me. He's been waiting for Leo to be old enough to trigger the medical review clause. Your son was always the final exam. The words echoed in my mind, a horrifying confirmation of my deepest fears. Leo wasn't just a target. He was the culmination of Julian's twisted plan, the final hurdle to a fortune he believed was his by right. I closed the phone, the cold metal a stark contrast to the burning anger in my chest. I walked back into room 412 and looked at my sleeping 8-year-old, his innocent face a stark reminder of the evil that had touched him. Julian had spent 3 months turning himself into a traveling poisoner, a predator preying on innocent children, just to steal money that was never his. And my own sister and her husband, the people I had trusted, had chosen to look the other way, to enable his depravity. The realization was a bitter pill, a betrayal that cut deeper than any physical wound, but it also solidified my resolve. This wasn't just about justice for Leo. It was about justice for every child Julian had harmed, every family he had terrorized. The fight was far from over. In fact, it had just begun, and I was ready to face it head-on, armed with the truth and an unyielding mother's love. With Leo left in the care of 2 plainclothes deputies the hospital assigned after the CPS hold, I caught the 6:05 a.m. flight out of Phoenix Sky Harbor. My first stop, Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson. The airport hummed with the early morning rush, a stark contrast to the quiet intensity of my mission. I rented a gray sedan under my new corporate card, a small detail that felt like a shield, and drove the 420 miles to Flagstaff, Arizona, in one relentless shot. The landscape blurred outside the window, but my focus remained razor-sharp, fueled by a potent cocktail of grief, anger, and an unshakable determination. I was no longer just a project manager. I was a hunter, tracking down the truth, piece by agonizing piece. The mother, a woman named Sarah, met me in the parking lot of a small diner off I-17. Her hands shook as she handed over a notarized affidavit and a thumb drive, her eyes, haunted and weary, mirroring the pain in my own. Her son, now 11, stayed in the back seat behind her, staring at me with an unnerving intensity, eyes that had seen too much, too young. Julian called himself Chris, she said, her voice barely a whisper, still raw with the memory. Gave my boy a bottle of orange soda in the park. 10 minutes later, he dropped like a rock. Doctors said it was the highest sedative level they'd ever seen in a living child. Police called it an accident. I knew better. The thumb drive contained Ring doorbell footage. Julian in a university hoodie, smiling, handing the bottle, walking away, whistling a jaunty tune. The casual cruelty of it made my stomach churn. It was a chilling echo of Leo's experience, a confirmation of the pattern Marcus had uncovered. My second stop was Montgomery, Alabama. I flew into MGM, rented another car, and drove the 380 miles. The mother, Maria, met me at a roadside cafe off the interstate. She slid across a manila envelope, sealed with evidence tape, her face etched with a quiet strength born of enduring, unimaginable pain. Inside were medical records, a toxicology report, and a pharmacy receipt Julian had accidentally dropped in the trash, recovered by a diligent janitor who thought it looked suspicious. Her son, now 12, had suffered night terrors for 18 months after drinking special punch from a nice man at the library. She had kept the empty bottle in a freezer bag, a desperate act of preservation. A lab retest commissioned by Marcus showed sedative residue and a painkiller. The chain of custody was intact, a crucial detail for building a federal case. Each story, each piece of evidence was a painful confirmation, but also a step closer to justice. Third stop, Lexington, Kentucky. I landed at Bluegrass Airport, rented a third car, and drove the remaining distance. The father, a stoic man named Thomas, met me at the curb, his eyes hard with a grief that had hardened into resolve. His son had been 9 when Julian offered free lemonade samples on their porch. They handed me the Ring doorbell SD card, the original hospital draw sheet with drug levels, the boy's therapy records, and a notarized statement. The father's voice cracked only once, a raw, guttural sound of pain. "Tell that bastard he didn't win," he rasped, his words a vow. The weight of their suffering, their quiet dignity, fueled my own determination. I was not just fighting for Leo, I was fighting for all these children, for all these shattered families. Fourth stop, Chattanooga, Tennessee. I drove straight through from Lexington, another 6 hours, the miles blurring into a relentless pursuit of truth. The family, the Millers, invited me into their living room, a a space filled with a quiet sorrow. Their boy, now 10, sat on the couch, clutching a drawing he'd made of the nice man with the blue cooler. The parents gave me the cooler itself, still sealed in an evidence bag, the empty sports drink bottle inside. A lab report confirmed the same chemical signature. They also handed over a second SD card, gas station surveillance footage of Julian, filling the cooler with ice and powdered medication at 2:14 a.m. the night before. The meticulousness of his evil was chilling, his preparation undeniable. Every family gave me the exact same 3 things: a sworn notarized affidavit detailing their experience, original medical proof of the poisoning, and time-stamped video evidence of Julian acting completely alone. Every receipt was paid in cash. Every motel keycard logged only one occupant. Every toll tag record showed only his black sedan. There was no room for doubt, no possibility of an accomplice. He was a lone wolf, a predator operating under the radar. I flew home with 4 sealed evidence boxes, 4 thumb drives, and a lead-lined stomach, heavy with the weight of what I had uncovered. The journey had been emotionally draining, a descent into the darkest corners of human depravity, but it had also forged an unshakable resolve within me. Julian Thorne would pay for what he had done, not just to Leo, but to all these innocent children. The evidence was overwhelming, and the truth, finally, was undeniable. Back in Tucson, the familiar desert landscape felt alien, tainted by the darkness I had uncovered. Marcus met me at a climate-controlled storage unit he had rented under a Shell LLC, a discreet, anonymous space that felt fitting for the clandestine nature of our work. We laid everything across a folding table, the sheer volume of evidence a testament to Julian's calculated cruelty and our relentless pursuit of justice. Affidavits were arranged in date order, medical timelines color-coded by state, a map dotted with red pins marking the exact locations of each incident, complete with mileage logs. Amazon order history, pulled via subpoena, revealed his purchases of specific chemicals and supplies. Burner phone cell tower pings meticulously tracked his movements, creating an undeniable digital footprint. Each piece was a thread, weaving together a tapestry of his crimes. The final chilling piece of the puzzle was a voicemail Julian had left for the family lawyer 3 months earlier, recovered from the lawyer's cloud backup. His voice, casual and unconcerned, echoed through the quiet storage unit. "Hey, Mr. Ellison, quick hypothetical. If my nephew ever got diagnosed with, severe anxiety or something, and 2 doctors signed off he couldn't handle money, the trust would go to me automatically, right? Just asking for a friend." The lawyer, a cautious man, had saved it, just in case. It was the smoking gun, the irrefutable proof of his intent, his cold calculation. By the end of those 15 days, working tirelessly, fueled by coffee and an unyielding sense of purpose, I had assembled a federal package 5 inches thick. It was a mountain of evidence, meticulously organized, each document a damning indictment of Julian Thorne. Marcus drove me to the FBI field office on North Stone Avenue. We carried the boxes inside together, the weight of them a physical manifestation of the justice we sought. We handed them to Special Agent Monica Reyes, a woman with sharp, intelligent eyes and an air of quiet authority. She flipped through the top folder, her expression unreadable, then looked up at me, her gaze piercing, and then she said the only words I needed to hear, the words that released a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding for weeks. "This is airtight. We're taking it from here." A wave of profound relief washed over me, mingled with a fierce satisfaction. The wheels of justice, slow and deliberate, were finally turning. Julian still thought he was untouchable, secure in his arrogance and the complicity of our family. He had no idea the storm was already gathering, poised to break directly over his head. The night of the Pharma Innovation Awards arrived with a hard December chill and a sky full of glittering stars. It was a stark contrast to the darkness that had consumed my life, a shimmering facade for the battle I was about to wage. I stood in the green room at the Tucson Convention Center, smoothing the midnight blue silk gown one last time. My reflection looked calm, composed, but inside, every nerve was on fire, a coiled spring ready to unleash its stored energy. The invitation had gone out 10 days earlier, simple cream cardstock, elegant gold lettering, a promise of a family photo opportunity, and a champagne toast honoring Grandpa Thorne's birthday. My sister Clara, her husband David, and Julian had RSVP'd within an hour, completely oblivious to the trap I had meticulously set. Julian walked through the private entrance at 6:42 p.m. sharp, a vision in a black designer suit, white pocket square, his hair slicked back as if he were walking a runway. He exuded an air of self-importance, completely unaware of the impending catastrophe. He kissed my cheek, that same lazy smirk playing on his lips. "Big night, sis," he drawled, a condescending pat on my shoulder. "Proud of you." Clara and David followed, my sister in an emerald satin gown that caught every light, her husband in a navy tux, his arm looped through hers. They posed for the official photographer I'd hired, their smiles wide and artificial. Little did they know, the FBI had calibrated the lenses, ensuring 48-megapixel, time-stamped evidence. Julian threw an arm around David's shoulders, flashed his perfect teeth, and laughed at something Clara whispered. The picture looked like the perfect American family, a sickening lie I was about to expose. I led them to the round VIP table, dead center, a prime viewing spot for the spectacle to come. I raised my flute, filled with sparkling cider, to new beginnings. Julian clinked his glass against mine, his smirk widening. "To new beginnings," he echoed, completely unaware of the true meaning of my toast. The lights dropped for the opening video, plunging the hall into darkness. 400 executives, investors, and reporters filled the hall, their murmurs dying down. Local news cameras rolled live, and my company's live stream was already at 60,000 concurrent viewers, a massive audience for the truth I was about to unveil. My boss took the stage, ran through the sponsors, then turned to me with a wide grin. "And our 2025 Employee of the Year, for the second consecutive year, Eleanor Thorne." The spotlight hit me, applause thundered, and I walked up the 3 steps, accepted the crystal trophy, and stepped to the microphone. The 200-inch LED wall behind me flashed pure white, a blank canvas for the truth. I smiled, the smile I had practiced until my cheeks hurt, a smile that held both triumph and a mother's fierce resolve. The moment of reckoning had arrived. Wow, the tension is really building, isn't it? My heart is racing just reliving this part. This isn't just my story. It's a testament to the power of truth and the courage it takes to stand up for what's right, especially when it means confronting those closest to you. If this journey resonates with you, if you've ever felt that burning desire for justice, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps us continue to share these powerful narratives. And I'm genuinely curious. Have you ever had to fight for someone you love against overwhelming odds? Share your stories in the comments below, or even suggest themes you'd like to see explored. Let's build a community where every voice is heard and every truth finds its light. The applause thundered around me, a deafening roar that momentarily drowned out the frantic beating of my own heart. I gripped the crystal trophy, its weight a grounding presence in the surreal moment. Stepping to the microphone, I looked out at the sea of faces, then directly into the nearest camera, my practiced smile unwavering. "This award isn't mine," I began, my voice steady, carrying across the silent hall. "It belongs to every child who has ever been hurt by someone they trusted." A ripple of confusion, then murmurs, spread through the audience. This was not the typical acceptance speech. The 200-inch LED wall behind me, which moments before had been a pristine white, suddenly flashed with the first image. It was Julian at 19, hoodie up, paying cash for 4 boxes of adult-strength sedatives at a discount store in Flagstaff, Arizona. A timestamp burned in the corner. Gasps rolled through the room like a wave, a collective intake of breath as the audience began to grasp the true nature of the evening. The second slide appeared, even more damning. Julian at 20, handing a red plastic bottle of orange soda to a 9-year-old boy in a convenience store parking lot in Flagstaff. The boy collapses 10 seconds later. A security camera freeze frame, stark and undeniable. A collective gasp, louder this time, filled the hall. The third slide, Julian at 21, walking away from a collapsed child on a Lexington, Kentucky porch, looking back once to check no one was watching, his face a mask of cold indifference. The fourth slide, Julian, 22, pouring white powder from a folded paper into a blue sports drink bottle in a Chattanooga, Tennessee, gas station bathroom. A mirror selfie, his infamous smirk plastered on his face, a chilling testament to his arrogance. Each image was a hammer blow, dismantling his carefully constructed facade, exposing the monster beneath. The fifth slide appeared. A close-up of Julian 3 months ago, his phone pointed at page 9 of Grandpa Thorne's revised trust, inside the Phoenix nursing home. The crucial clause was circled in red. The 6th slide blew up the clause itself, highlighted in yellow. If beneficiary Leo Thorne is medically determined unfit, entire principal vests immediately an alternate beneficiary, Julian Thorne. The words, stark and unambiguous, hung in the air, the motive laid bare for all to see. Then came the 7th slide, a text message screenshot from Julian to the family lawyer. So if Leo ever gets like anxiety or whatever and 2 docs sign off the money's mine, right, just asking for a friend, LOL. The LOL was a final, sickening touch, a casual dismissal of the life he was trying to destroy. A dead silence descended upon the hall, thick and heavy, broken only by the frantic clicks of reporters' cameras. Then, from different tables across the hall, 4 young men stood. They were now 14 to 16 years old, no longer the innocent children Julian had targeted, but survivors, their faces etched with a quiet strength. One from Flagstaff, one from Albuquerque, one from Lexington, one from Chattanooga. They turned in unison, their gazes fixed, and pointed straight at the VIP table where Julian, Clara, and David sat frozen in horror. "That's him," the Flagstaff boy said, his voice cracking but clear, carrying across the silent hall. "He poisoned me for practice." The Albuquerque boy stepped forward, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and defiance. "Me too." The Lexington boy and the Chattanooga boy just stared, tears running freely down their faces, their silence more powerful than any words. Julian's champagne flute slipped from his fingers, exploding on the marble floor with a sharp, shattering sound that echoed through the stunned silence. His smirk vanished, replaced by a mask of pure terror. His face went dead white, his eyes wide with disbelief and dawning horror. He looked at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water, no sound emerging. Then, a raw, ragged scream tore from his throat, cracking across the hall. "My plan was perfect," he shrieked, his voice filled with a desperate animalistic rage. He bolted, knocking over chairs, sprinting for the side exit, a desperate attempt to escape the inescapable. But 2 agents in tuxedos, who had been blending seamlessly into the crowd, moved with lightning speed, cutting him off at the knees. He hit the marble floor hard, the impact echoing through the hall. Cuffs clicked shut, a sound of finality. David surged up from the VIP table, his face contorted with fury. "That's my son! Let him go!" Clara grabbed his arm, shrieking my name like a curse, trying to pull Julian away from the marshals. 4 more agents moved in, their presence a silent, undeniable force. David was cuffed for interfering with a federal arrest. Clara, for accessory after the fact. Julian twisted on the floor, his face purple with rage, spit flying from his mouth. "You set me up, you jealous..." An agent slammed his face back down, cutting off his hateful words. The live stream counter on the big screen rolled past 5 million viewers and kept climbing, a global audience witnessing the downfall of a monster. I looked straight into the nearest camera, my voice clear and strong, filled with the righteous anger of a mother. This is what happens when someone decides a child's life is worth less than money. The hall erupted in chaos. Flashes, shouts, phones held high, a cacophony of shock and outrage. Julian was dragged out, still screaming, his desperate cries echoing through the hall, Clara and David in tears behind him, their complicity finally exposed. I stayed on stage until the last cuff clicked, the last scream faded, then walked off, trophy in one hand, Leo's future, finally secured, in the other. The battle was won, the truth revealed, and justice, at long last, had arrived. 11 months later, the federal courthouse in downtown Tucson delivered the final verdicts under a cold December sky, a fitting backdrop for the somber proceedings. Julian Thorne, now 23, stood in an orange jumpsuit, his face devoid of the familiar smirk, replaced by a grim, defiant mask. The clerk read the counts, each word a heavy stone. 5 attempted murders by poisoning across state lines, interstate transportation of controlled substances with intent to harm minors, wire fraud, and conspiracy to defraud a trust. The judge, a stern woman with silver hair, looked over her glasses and sentenced him to 40 years in USP Atlanta, with no parole eligibility for 25. Julian didn't flinch. He just stared at me the entire time, His lips curled in that same chilling smirk, a final act of defiance, until the marshals dragged him away, his presence finally removed from my life. Clara Thorne, 39, had taken a plea the week before, a desperate attempt to mitigate her sentence. 8 years at FCI Tallahassee for accessory after the fact and failure to report felony child abuse. She cried when the sentence was read, mascara running down her cheeks, begging the judge to let her say goodbye to her son, a son she had chosen to protect over an innocent child. Request denied. David Thorne, 59, stood last. The man who had once been a jovial presence at family gatherings now wore handcuffs and a look that aged him 10 years. 6 years at FCI Butner Low for his complicity. He kept his head down the whole time, avoiding my gaze. When the gavel fell, a sharp, final sound, he finally looked up at me, his eyes filled with a desperate plea for understanding. I met his eyes for a brief moment, then turned away. The years of betrayal too deep to forgive. The trust was dissolved the same week under Arizona's fraudulent transfer statutes. The full $4,200,000 was transferred into a new irrevocable special needs trust with Leo as the sole beneficiary and me as the sole trustee. It was a victory, not just of money, but of principle, ensuring Leo's future was secure and protected from any further attempts at manipulation. A separate civil jury added $3 million in punitive damages, secured against any future earnings Julian might ever make, a symbolic gesture of the immense harm he had caused. The financial security was a relief, but the true victory was the peace of mind, the knowledge that Leo would be safe. I filed the paperwork to change our legal names the day the ink dried. Leo Hayes and Eleanor Hayes. New birth certificates, new social security numbers, new everything. It was a complete severance from the past, a symbolic rebirth. We moved 3 hours west to a quiet street outside Flagstaff, a place where nobody knew our old name, where the shadows of the past couldn't reach us. New schools, a new pediatrician, a new therapist who specialized in childhood trauma recovery. It was a fresh start, a chance to rebuild our lives away from the toxic influence of my former family. The healing process was long and arduous, but we faced it together, hand in hand. Leo still wakes up some nights screaming Julian's name, the echoes of his trauma lingering, but the screams are getting quieter, less frequent. He started travel baseball in the spring, a new passion that brought a spark back to his eyes. When he hit his first grand slam and rounded third base, he pointed straight at me in the bleachers and grinned so wide the coach said his face might crack. I cried harder than the night it all began, tears of pure joy and overwhelming relief, witnessing his resilience, his capacity for happiness despite everything he had endured. It was a moment of profound beauty, a testament to his strength and the power of a mother's love. My father wrote once from prison, 3 handwritten pages about how he only wanted to keep peace in the family and never meant for anyone to get hurt. I read the first paragraph, walked to the backyard fire pit, and burned the rest, watching the flames consume his hollow excuses. Leo roasted marshmallows over the ashes and asked if the orange glow was pretty. I told him it was the prettiest fire we'd ever had, a cleansing fire, burning away the remnants of a painful past. Clara's prison birthday card arrived in June. I wrote, "Return to sender, person unknown at this address," across the envelope in red marker, and dropped it back in the mailbox, severing the last thread of connection. Julian's appeal was denied in a 21-page opinion that called his conduct among the most calculated and depraved this circuit has seen. Justice, in its slow and deliberate way, had truly prevailed. The other 4 boys, now teenagers, had found a unique way to cope with their shared trauma. They started a private Discord server, a digital sanctuary they named The Five. On this server, they played online games like Fortnite, traded baseball cards, and sometimes, when the nightmares hit, they talked. They shared their fears, their struggles, and their triumphs, finding solace in the knowledge that they were not alone. They called me Aunt Eleanor, even though we weren't related by blood, a title I cherished more than any other. They called Leo Little Bro, embracing him into their unique brotherhood of survivors. They were family now, bound not by genetics, but by a shared experience and an unbreakable bond of understanding and support. It was a beautiful, unexpected outcome of such a dark chapter, a testament to the human spirit's capacity for connection and healing. I kept my job at the pharmaceutical company. They gave me a bigger title, a corner office with actual windows and unlimited remote days, a recognition of my dedication and the extraordinary circumstances I had faced. With the first grant from the settlement, I started the Safe Haven Trust, an anonymous emergency funding program specifically designed for single parents whose kids were being targeted by relatives. In its first year, we helped 41 families move, change names, and disappear safely, providing them with the resources and support they needed to escape dangerous situations and rebuild their lives. It was a way to turn my pain into purpose, to ensure that other children and parents wouldn't have to endure the same nightmare Leo and I had faced. The trust became a beacon of hope, a tangible manifestation of justice and compassion. Some evenings, I sit on the back porch, watching Leo chase lightning bugs across the yard, his laughter echoing in the twilight. He catches one, cups it gently in his hands, and runs over, holding it up to my face, his eyes sparkling with wonder. "Look, Mom," he whispers. It's still glowing. We open our hands together, watching the tiny light rise into the dark, vast sky. Free. It's a simple ritual, but it holds profound meaning for us. A symbol of his resilience, his freedom from the darkness that once threatened to consume him. Each glowing light ascending into the night is a reminder of the light within him, a light that Julian tried to extinguish but could never truly dim. If you're listening to this, and someone in your family is hurting your child, hear me. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. You are not alone. Record everything. Save everything. Fight like your child's life depends on it, because it does. Because sometimes the monster doesn't hide under the bed. Sometimes it sits at your dinner table, wearing the face of someone you once called brother, sister, father, or mother. And sometimes justice comes, but only if you're brave enough to drag it into the light, to expose the truth, no matter how painful or difficult it may be. Your courage can be the difference between despair and a new beginning, between silence and a resounding cry for justice. Leo just ran up, grass-stained knees, his jar full of fireflies, his face beaming. "Can we let them go now?" he asked, his voice full of innocent excitement. "Yeah, baby," I replied, my heart swelling with love and gratitude. Let them go. We unscrewed the lid together and watched every single one blink into the night sky, tiny beacons of hope. Free. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated joy, a testament to the power of healing, the strength of family, and the enduring light that can emerge even from the deepest darkness. This is our story, a story of survival, of justice, and of finding freedom in the most unexpected ways. The journey from that terrifying December night to this moment of peace was not a straight path, but a winding road filled with emotional landmines and spiritual tests. There were days when the weight of it all felt unbearable, when the darkness threatened to consume me whole. The image of Leo's pale face, the chilling smirk of Julian, the dismissive words of my sister and her husband, they replayed in my mind like a broken record, each loop a fresh wound. I questioned everything, my judgment, my past, the very fabric of my family. How could I have been so blind? How could I have allowed such evil to fester so close to my son? These self-recriminations were often as painful as the external battle, a silent war waged within my own soul. But then I would look at Leo, truly look at him, and see not a victim, but a survivor. His laughter, though sometimes hesitant, was a melody that chased away the shadows. His innocent questions, his unwavering trust in me, became my anchor, pulling me back from the brink. It was for him that I had to be strong, for him that I had to push past the fear and the doubt. My spiritual beliefs, which had always been a quiet undercurrent in my life, surged to the forefront during this time. I found myself praying in ways I never had before, not just for strength, but for clarity, for guidance, for the courage to see this through. There were moments when I felt an almost palpable presence, a sense of divine protection guiding my steps, affirming that I was on the right path. The process of gathering evidence, while grueling, also became a form of catharsis. Each affidavit, each video, each medical report was a step towards reclaiming our narrative, towards dismantling the lies that had almost destroyed us. Meeting the other families, seeing their pain and their resilience, forged a bond that transcended words. We were strangers united by a shared horror, but also by a shared hope for justice. Their quiet strength, their unwavering belief in their children, fueled my own fire. It was a powerful reminder that evil, no matter how cunning, cannot withstand the collective force of truth and love. We were not just individuals fighting separate battles. We were a united front, a testament to the power of community in the face of adversity. The trial itself was a blur of legal jargon, emotional testimonies, and the chilling presence of Julian, still defiant, still smirking. It was a public spectacle, but for me, it was a deeply personal reckoning. Each piece of evidence presented, each witness called, was a validation of Leo's truth, a confirmation that he was not dramatic, that I was not exhausted or crazy. It was a moment of profound vindication, not just for me, but for all the children Julian had harmed. Watching him finally be led away in handcuffs, his smirk finally faltering, was not a moment of triumph in the traditional sense, but a quiet, solemn acknowledgement that balance had been restored, that the scales of justice, however slowly, had finally tipped in favor of the innocent. The decision to change our names and move was not made lightly. It was a conscious choice to sever ties with a past that had become toxic, to create a new identity free from the shadows of betrayal. It was an act of self-preservation, a way to protect Leo from the lingering stigma and the potential for future harm. The new town, with its quiet streets and unfamiliar faces, offered a sense of anonymity, a blank slate upon which we could begin to write a new chapter. It wasn't about forgetting, but about healing, about building a future where Leo could thrive without the constant threat of his past looming over him. It was a spiritual cleansing, a shedding of the old to embrace the new. And now, as I watch Leo play, truly play, with a joy that is unburdened, I know that every sacrifice, every tear, every moment of fear was worth it. His journey of healing is ongoing, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The Safe Haven Trust has become a living legacy, a way to extend our story of survival to others, to offer a lifeline to those who feel lost and alone. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, light can emerge, and that compassion can be a powerful force for change. Our story is not just about a monster. It's about the unwavering power of a mother's love, the strength of community, and the enduring belief that justice, however hard won, will always find its way into the light. And in that light, we find our freedom, our peace, and our purpose. The concept of family had always been a cornerstone of my existence, a sacred bond that I believed was unbreakable. My childhood memories were filled with laughter, shared secrets, and the comforting presence of Julian, Clara, and David. We were a unit, or so I thought, navigating life's challenges together. The betrayal, therefore, was not just an act of violence against my son. It was an earthquake that shattered the very foundation of my understanding of kinship. It forced me to reevaluate every memory, every shared moment, through a new, horrifying lens. Was Julian's affection always a performance? Was Clara's calm demeanor a mask for her complicity? The questions were endless, and the answers, when they came, were devastating, leaving behind a void where trust once resided. This profound disillusionment was perhaps the most difficult aspect of my healing journey. It wasn't just about recovering from the trauma of what happened to Leo, but about rebuilding my entire worldview. How do you trust again when those closest to you have proven to be your greatest threat? The spiritual aspect of this struggle was immense. I had to grapple with the idea of evil existing within those I loved, and reconcile that with my belief in a benevolent universe. It was a test of faith, a dark night of the soul where I questioned everything I thought I knew about good and bad, about human nature itself. The answers didn't come easily, but through prayer, meditation, and the unwavering support of Marcus and a few trusted friends, I slowly began to find my footing again. The creation of the Safe Haven Trust was born directly from this crucible of pain and disillusionment. It was my way of transforming personal tragedy into collective triumph, of ensuring that the lessons learned from our ordeal would serve a greater purpose. The anonymity aspect was crucial, a recognition of the fear and vulnerability that parents in similar situations face. Many are trapped, not just by the physical danger, but by the emotional blackmail and societal pressure to maintain family ties, even when those ties are toxic. The trust provides a lifeline, a discreet escape route, offering financial assistance, legal guidance, and emotional support to help them break free and start anew. It's a testament to the idea that even from the ashes of betrayal, something beautiful and impactful can rise. Working with the families of the 5 has also been an incredibly healing experience. Seeing these boys, now young men, connect and support each other has been a powerful reminder of resilience. Their Discord server is more than just a gaming platform. It's a therapeutic space, a place where they can process their trauma without judgment, where they can be understood by others who truly get it. When they call me Aunt Eleanor and Leo little bro, it's a reaffirmation of a new kind of family, one built on shared experience, empathy, and unconditional support, rather than blood. It's a family chosen, not given, and in many ways it feels stronger, more authentic than the one I lost. Leo's journey, though marked by lingering shadows, is a constant source of inspiration. His ability to find joy, to laugh, to chase lightning bugs with such unadulterated delight is a miracle. The nightmares are a reminder of what he endured, but his waking hours are a testament to his incredible spirit. The baseball field, in particular, has become a sacred space for him, a place where he can channel his energy, build confidence, and experience the simple joys of childhood. When he pointed at me after his grand slam, it wasn't just a gesture of triumph. It was a moment of profound connection, a silent acknowledgement of our shared journey and the love that binds us. It was a moment that transcended the pain, a glimpse into the bright future we are building together. The act of burning my father's letter and returning Clara's card were not acts of bitterness, but of necessary closure. They were symbolic gestures, severing the energetic cords that still bound me to their toxicity. It wasn't about hate. It was about self-preservation, about protecting my peace and Leo's future. The orange glow of the fire, the simple act of letting the fireflies go, these moments are imbued with a spiritual significance for us. They represent release, freedom, and the enduring power of light over darkness. Our story, while rooted in terror, ultimately blossoms into one of hope, resilience, and the profound truth that even when family betrays you, you can forge new connections, find new purpose, and ultimately, find your way back to the light. The journey continues, but now we walk it with open hearts and a renewed sense of peace. The echoes of that night, the chilling smirk, the desperate gasps for air, they are woven into the fabric of my being, a permanent reminder of the fragility of life and the insidious nature of betrayal. Yet, with each passing day, those echoes grow fainter, replaced by the vibrant sounds of Leo's laughter, the quiet hum of our new home, and the purposeful rhythm of my work with the Safe Haven Trust. It's a testament to the incredible capacity of the human spirit to heal, to adapt, and to find light even after navigating the deepest darkness. This healing isn't a linear process. It's a dance, sometimes graceful, sometimes stumbling, but always moving forward. One of the most profound shifts in my perspective has been my understanding of justice. Before, I might have viewed it as a cold, legal process, a system of rules and consequences. Now, I see it as something far more expansive, a spiritual imperative. Justice, for me, became about restoring balance, about acknowledging the harm done, and about creating a future where such harm is less likely to occur. It wasn't just about Julian being imprisoned. It was about Leo finding his smile again, about the other boys finding their voices, and about the Safe Haven Trust offering a sanctuary to those in need. It's a holistic view, recognizing that true justice extends beyond the courtroom and into the hearts and lives of those affected. The bond with Marcus, my brilliant investigator, has also evolved into something akin to family. He was the unwavering rock, the calm voice of reason in the storm, and the strategic mind that helped me navigate the complex legal landscape. His dedication was not just professional, it felt deeply personal, a shared commitment to righting a profound wrong. Our collaboration was a powerful example of how individuals, united by a common purpose, can achieve extraordinary things. He became a silent guardian, a trusted confidant, and a testament to the fact that even in the darkest of times, you can find allies who will stand by you, unwavering in their support. My work with the Safe Haven Trust has become more than just a job. It's a calling. Each family we help, each child we protect, is a small victory against the darkness. It's a way to channel the pain of my past into a powerful force for good, to ensure that Leo's suffering was not in vain. The stories I hear from these parents are heartbreakingly familiar, echoes of my own experience, but they are also filled with immense courage and resilience, providing them with the resources to escape, to change their names, to disappear safely. It's not just logistical support. It's an act of empowerment, giving them back control over their lives and their children's futures. It's a spiritual mission, a way to mend broken families and restore hope. Leo's journey of recovery continues to unfold, a beautiful and complex tapestry. There are still moments of quiet reflection, times when the shadows of the past briefly touch his eyes, but these moments are fleeting, quickly replaced by the boundless energy and curiosity of an 8-year-old boy. His love for baseball, his fascination with lightning bugs, his burgeoning friendships. These are the true markers of his healing. He is learning to trust again, to open his heart, and to embrace the joy of simply being a child. It's a profound privilege to witness this transformation, to see him reclaim his innocence and build a future filled with promise. As I sit on our porch, watching the last of the fireflies blink into the night, I often reflect on the incredible journey we've undertaken. It was a journey born of terror, fueled by rage, and ultimately guided by an unwavering love. It taught me that strength isn't just about physical power, but about emotional resilience, spiritual fortitude, and the courage to face uncomfortable truths. It taught me that family can be a source of both profound love and unimaginable pain, and that sometimes you have to redefine what family truly means. And it taught me that even when the monster wears a familiar face, justice can prevail, and light will always find a way to break through the darkest of nights. Our story is a testament to the enduring power of hope, the transformative nature of healing, and the unyielding spirit of a mother's love. The quiet rhythm of our new life in Flagstaff has become a balm for my soul, a stark contrast to the chaos and betrayal that once defined our existence. The desert mountains, with their ancient wisdom and silent strength, feel like guardians, watching over us as we rebuild. Every morning, as the sun paints the sky with hues of orange and purple, I feel a renewed sense of gratitude, a deep appreciation for the simple beauty of a life reclaimed. It's a peace that was hard-won, forged in the fires of adversity, and therefore cherished all the more deeply. This new beginning isn't about forgetting the past, but about integrating it, understanding its lessons, and allowing it to shape us into stronger, more compassionate individuals. Leo's therapist, a kind and insightful woman, often speaks about the concept of post-traumatic growth. It's the idea that profound trauma, while devastating, can also lead to unexpected personal development, a deeper appreciation for life, and a stronger sense of purpose. I see this growth in Leo every day. He's more empathetic, more attuned to the emotions of others, and possesses a quiet resilience that belies his young age. He understands, in a way that many adults never do, the preciousness of trust and the importance of speaking one's truth. These are not lessons I would have wished upon him, but they are lessons that have undoubtedly shaped him into an extraordinary young man, full of potential and an unshakable spirit. My own journey of post-traumatic growth has been equally transformative. The experience forced me to confront my own vulnerabilities, to shed the illusion of control, and to embrace a deeper sense of spiritual connection. I learned to trust my intuition, that primal scream from my soul that warned me of danger, even when logic and family ties tried to silence it. I discovered a strength within myself I never knew existed, a fierce protective power that emerged when my child was threatened. This newfound strength isn't aggressive. It's a quiet, unwavering resolve, a deep well of courage that I now know I can draw upon, no matter what challenges life may bring. It's a profound sense of empowerment, a knowing that I am capable of anything when it comes to protecting those I love. The Safe Haven Trust continues to grow, its reach expanding, its impact undeniable. We've built a network of legal and psychological professionals, all dedicated to supporting families in crisis. The stories of the families we help are a constant source of both heartbreak and inspiration. Each success story, each child safely relocated, each parent empowered, reinforces the profound importance of our mission. It's a living legacy, a testament to the idea that even one person, fueled by purpose and compassion, can create a ripple effect of positive change. It's a spiritual calling, a way to honor Leo's journey and to ensure that his experience, and mine, contribute to a world where children are safer and parents are empowered to protect them. The bond with the 5 boys remains strong, a unique and beautiful testament to the healing power of shared experience. They are growing into remarkable young men, each finding their own path, but always connected by that invisible thread. Their calls and messages, their shared laughter and occasional moments of vulnerability are a constant reminder that healing is a collective journey and that true family can be found in the most unexpected places. It's a family of choice, forged in adversity, and built on a foundation of understanding, empathy, and unwavering support. This new, expanded family has filled the void left by the betrayal, offering a richness and depth of connection that I never thought possible. As I look back on that freezing December night, it no longer feels like the end of my world, but the beginning of a new one. A world where I am stronger, Leo is safer, and our purpose is clearer. The monster may have worn a familiar face, but the light of truth, fueled by a mother's love, ultimately prevailed, and in that victory, we found not just justice, but a profound sense of freedom and a renewed faith in the resilience of the human spirit. Our story is a testament to the fact that even from the deepest shadows, light can emerge, guiding us towards a future filled with hope, healing, and an unshakable peace.